I'm in my birth country, Singapore. I'm currently standing outside the Eurasian Community House, and this is a unique building because this is where all the Eurasian community get to meet, and so there's also a Eurasian restaurant called Quinton's, and it serves good Eurasian food. And one of the things you'll see also here is the Eurasian Heritage Gallery. As you step into the Eurasian Community House, you'll be greeted by this mural, the Blue Azulejo mural, that's actually donated by the Portuguese Embassy in Thailand. Looking at it, it is a landscape of Lisbon, and you can see the castle and also Belém Tower, and this brings a lot of saudades feeling, and I really am missing Lisbon. I really cannot wait to be in Lisbon. But also, one of the things that is interesting in this building, there is a Eurasian Heritage Gallery. Entrance is free for locals. The Eurasian Heritage Gallery is quite interesting, where it showcases the history of the Eurasians, from the Portuguese Eurasians who came over to Singapore from Malacca, and then with the Dutch and the English. The Eurasian Heritage Gallery also showcases the achievements they had over the years, from the post-war until currently, from authors to sports personalities. So I think I've learned quite a bit about the Eurasian heritage, and I thought this got me more interested in terms of finding out more about the Portuguese Eurasians in Malacca. So I'm aware that the Portuguese Eurasians in Singapore are quite different from the Portuguese Eurasians in Malacca. So I'd like you to come and join me and have a look, head to Malacca, and let's have a look what the Portuguese settlement in Malacca looks like.
Before we explore the Portuguese Eurasian community, Here's a brief history of how the Portuguese arrived at Malacca. The Portuguese arrival in Asia is mainly due to the spice trade. Back then, spices such as cinnamon, cassia, cardamom, ginger, and turmeric were important items of commerce in the earliest evolution of trade, and it made its way from the Middle East to Venice, which was the center of the spice trade. Venice managed to secure a monopoly of trade in the Middle East for a couple of centuries, and it became one of the most wealthy countries on earth. Although the origins of spices were known throughout Europe by the Middle Ages, no ruler proved capable of breaking the Venetian hold on the trade routes. The Portuguese sent an expedition to explore a route to India, and they managed to find a way via the Cape of Good Hope in 1501. In 1510, the Portuguese seized Goa and made it their colonial capital in India. They initially thought they struck gold, but later found out that Goa was not the capital of the spice trade, and therefore it was Malacca. Malacca was the world's busiest port and also the largest spice market of the period. The Malacca Sultanate and Peninsula became the strategic base for the Portuguese trade expansion with China and Southeast Asia. So they set out trade envoys to Malacca in 1510, and initially they were welcomed by the Sultan, and they were called White Bengalis. The Portuguese were warmly greeted by the Sultan and his people. However, soon enough the Sultan was warned that the Portuguese had other intentions. So the Sultan confronted their intentions, and soon enough they were captured, and many managed to escape back to India. And a year later, the Portuguese came back to attack Malacca. So the Portuguese realized the only way to do trade in that part of the world is to conquer like what they did in Goa. So in 1511, a year later, Alfonso de Albuquerque came back to Malacca and attacked Malacca. It took about 40 days for the Portuguese to capture Malacca, and when Malacca finally fell, the Malaccan Empire moved south to the island of Bintan initially, and later established a sultanate in the state of Johor, Malaysia. Following the defeat of the Malacca Sultanate on 15 August 1511 in the capture of Malacca, Alfonso de Albuquerque sought to erect a permanent form of fortification in anticipation of counterattacks by the Sultan. A fortress was designed and constructed encompassing a hill lining the edge of the seashore on the southeast of the river mouth, on the former site of Sultan's Palace. Malacca was the first base of European Christian trading kingdom in Southeast Asia, and it was surrounded by numerous emerging Muslim states. Portuguese Malacca faced severe hostility, and it was constantly attacked over the years, and finally was brought down by the Dutch. During the early 17th century, the Dutch East India Company, known as the VOC, began contesting Portuguese power in the east. The Malays and the Javanese were constantly attacking Malacca, trying to seize back the city. The Portuguese conquered Malacca for 129 years. And during that time, there were several attempts to seize back Malacca from the Javanese kingdoms and also the former Malacca Sultanate. The Dutch conquered the city of Malacca. However, they had no intention to make Malacca as their main base, as they were concentrating on building Batavia, which is known as Jakarta today, as the headquarters in the Orient. The Portuguese ports in the spice-producing areas of Moluccas also fell to the Dutch in the following years. And with the fall of the Portuguese ports cities of Malacca and Moluccas, the Portuguese concentrated on their other colonies in Portuguese Timor, Goa, Daman, Diu, and Macau. The Portuguese sailors were encouraged by the king at that time to settle in Malacca with the local women, and their children were known as the Portuguese Eurasian or Luso-Asians. The Catholic faith brought into Malacca through missionaries based at the Portuguese Catholic Mission in Goa. The King of Portugal at that time, King Manuel I, had issued a royal decree encouraging intermarriages with native women in the lands where the Portuguese settled. The decree emphasized that in no way should people be dishonored, rather they and their descendants should be preferred in places and occupations where they were qualified and suitable. The name of half-breed of any other similar insulting name should not be used.
So, I've just visited the History Museum. and it was quite an interesting visit. I mean, I've learned a little bit about Malacca history, but I guess this time coming again to Malacca and visiting the museum, and this time visiting the museum, it kind of cemented quite a lot of stuff. My understanding of the Portuguese history and impact it had on Malacca. The reason why Portuguese history never really mentioned much about Malacca is that when they conquered Malacca, it was never the same anymore like it used to be. And also with the introduction of Catholicism in Malacca, they barred people, the citizens of Malacca, to practice their religion, which is Islam at that time. And therefore, there was a decline in religion, and so decline in trade. And many of the other empires within the region, they moved to other places around like Aceh and Batavia, or now known as Jakarta. So yeah, so it's quite an interesting, eye-opening experience, and yeah, I guess I kind of know why the Portuguese never talk much about the empire in Malacca. And so, to be fair, they were only in Malacca for about 129 years. So that's not as long as compared to other places like in Goa and Macau. So here I am standing at the one and only fortress left in the Portuguese Empire, and this was constructed right after the defeat of Malacca, and the Portuguese used forced labor, and then when the Dutch took over in 1641, they reinforced and extended it, and the British came around the 19th century, and they actually wanted to destroy this whole piece, this whole structure. This was the only structures that's left, and also one at the top of the hill. So I like to investigate the Portuguese settlement, and as I'm curious, I've been to Malacca several times, but I've never been to the Portuguese settlement. I like to see how, the differences or the similarities in terms of the food and the culture. So I'd like you to join me in the next part of my journey to the Portuguese settlement, which is about 10 minutes drive from here. So I'll see you in a bit.